The rain whispered secrets against Elara's windowpane, mirroring the quiet ache within her chest tonight. The loneliness felt heavier than usual, a physical weight pressing down in her small, cluttered attic apartment. Boxes of her late grandfather's belongings, untouched for months since his passing, seemed to gather dust and shadows in the corners. He'd been her anchor, her storyteller, the keeper of impossible dreams. Now, only silence remained, broken only by the rhythmic drumming of the storm. A profound sense of things left unsaid, adventures never shared, clung to her like the damp chill seeping through the old glass. She traced the cold pane with a fingertip, wishing for just one more moment, one more story from his gentle voice. Driven by a sudden, restless impulse she couldn't name, Elara turned from the window and pulled open the largest, most ornate crate. Beneath layers of yellowed newspapers and mothball-scented woolens, her fingers brushed against cold, intricately carved wood. With effort, she hauled out not just a door, but the door. The one from her grandfather's wildest tales. It was smaller than a regular door, perhaps only 5 feet tall, its dark oak surface covered in swirling patterns that seemed to shift in the dim lamplight. At its center was a keyhole shaped like a teardrop. Her breath caught. She remembered his eyes sparkling as he described it. A portal not to another place, but to a fragment of tomorrow, a shadow of what could be. It had always sounded like pure fancy, a comforting myth, yet here it was, solid and real beneath her trembling hands. Searching frantically through the crate, Elara's hand closed around a small velvet pouch. Inside lay a single key, rod of silver that felt strangely warm, its bow shaped into that same perfect teardrop. Heart pounding like a trapped bird against her ribs, she knelt before the strange door. Leaning against her attic wall, the teardrop key slid into the lock with a soft, resonant click that echoed in the quiet room. She turned it slowly, feeling a subtle vibration travel up her arm. The carvings on the door pulsed with a soft, internal light, deep blue like twilight, and the air before it shimmered, not opening to her familiar hallway, but revealing a scene bathed in warm, golden afternoon sunlight. Hesitation warred with desperate longing. She took a deep, shuddering breath and stepped through the shimmering threshold. The world that enveloped her was achingly familiar, yet profoundly different. She stood not in her grandfather's cozy book-filled study as it was in her childhood memories, but within the same space transformed decades later. Sunlight streamed through clean, modern windows onto sleek furniture, yet the essence remained. The particular slant of light on the far wall, the faint scent of pipe tobacco lingering beneath newer aromas of lemon polish, the comforting shape of the fireplace hearth. Sitting in a comfortable armchair, bathed in that golden light, was an older woman. Her hair was silvered, her face lined with time and kindness, but the eyes looking up at her with gentle surprise were undeniably her own. Elara stared, frozen, at the face she would one day wear. The recognition was a physical blow, stealing her breath. The older Elara offered a serene, knowing smile, untouched by shock. "I wondered," she said, her voice carrying the soft rasp of age but the same underlying timbre, "when this day might come. Grandfather always said the door finds you when the ache for understanding outweighs the fear of seeing." She gestured to a second chair, identical to the one from Elara's youth. Placed opposite her sit. "The shadows of tomorrow hold less menace when shared." Her gaze held a depth of lived experience, a quiet sorrow intertwined with enduring peace. Seeing her own future self radiate such calm acceptance, even amidst visible signs of a life fully lived, loosened a tight knot of anxiety Elara hadn't fully acknowledged. She carried the profound loneliness of the attic. Momentarily receded. The conversation that flowed wasn't about specific events, lottery numbers, or dire warnings. It was a quiet communion across time. They spoke of shared memories, the taste of grandfather's terrible peppermint tea, the sound of rain on his old tin roof, the weight of grief after he was gone. The older Elara spoke softly of paths chosen, roads not taken that led to unexpected joys, and losses weathered that revealed hidden strengths. "The shadow isn't a threat, child," her future self murmured, watching the dust motes dance in the sunlight. It's simply the shape of time falling upon the choices we make. Even the hardest choices eventually find their own light. She spoke of love found and cherished, of small, quiet triumphs, and the enduring warmth of connection that transcends even death. It wasn't a life free from pain, but one where pain had been woven into a tapestry of resilience and meaning. The raw, jagged edges of Elara's present grief began, imperceptibly, to soften. A delicate silver clock on the mantel chimed a soft, melodic hour. The older Elara sighed, a sound not of sadness, but of gentle finality. Our time is almost up, she said, her eyes holding Elara's with profound tenderness. Remember this feeling, this peace, carry it back with you. The door showed you tomorrow's shadow, not to frighten you, but to remind you that the light finds its way through. Always. Your story has so many beautiful pages yet to turn. She reached out, her hand hovering near Elara's younger one, not quite touching, yet transmitting a wave of pure, unconditional love and reassurance. He loved you fiercely, you know, and that love, it never truly leaves. It becomes part of your bones, your breath. The golden light in the room seemed to deepen, embracing them both in a moment. Suspended outside of time, stepping back through the shimmering doorway felt like surfacing from a deep, warm dream. Elara found herself once more in her dim attic, the rain still whispering against the window. The ornate door stood silent and inert, just wood and carving. Again, the key in her hand was cool, but the crushing loneliness was gone. In its place bloomed a profound sense of connection, to the grandfather whose love felt suddenly vivid and near, to the resilient woman she would become, and to the unfolding story of her own life. She placed the key gently on her nightstand, not as a tool for another journey, but as a talisman of the peace she'd found curling up in bed. She listened to the rain, no longer a sound of isolation, but a gentle lullaby. A quiet smile touched her lips as she closed her eyes, the comforting weight of tomorrow's shadow, understood now as a promise of endurance, finally allowing her weary heart to rest. The future wasn't a void, it was a landscape waiting to be walked, one step at a time, bathed in remembered light.